we're about to conclude this month, I want you to ask yourself a question. And like I've said before, that my life has changed purely because of the questions that I ask myself. And this is a ritual that I normally do each and every month end, or when the month is about to conclude. You know, I always ask myself real questions, real hard questions, not for content, not for motivation, but for the truth that will be able to help me to be able to show up differently the following month. You know, to show up differently the following month, to show up as an improved version of me. And I just want to ask you, or I just want you to ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, whether did you lead your life, whoever people that report to you or whoever people that are under you, did you lead or did you drift? Did I lead or did I drift this month? Remember, at the beginning of the month, we spoke about reclaiming your power. And reclaiming your power, it has to do with your discipline, your structure, your standards. And, a lot of us, we don't realize that you don't lose your power all at once. You don't lose your power or losing it by just one event, one big event. No, you don't lose it by one moment whereby you can identify and say, oh yeah, this is where I lost my power. Yeah, sometimes it does happen like that. But before you lose your power entirely, you have been losing it quietly and drip by drip, one drip at a time. You have been losing your power in small decisions. You have been losing your power in delayed actions. You have been losing your power in tolerated behaviors. And if you're honest with yourself, you've seen this month for yourself. You've seen it. You've seen it for yourself. And in this month, you saw whether you're drifting or if you were leading with power. And this is how drifting looks like. Drifting is very subtle. It's very subtle. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't say, hey, I'm here. It doesn't go like, ta-da, I'm here. No, it's very subtle. It creeps in. It creeps in. And it creeps in delaying decisions that that you need to make. It creeps in avoiding conversations that require courage. It creeps in starting your day reactive instead of intentional. Remember, we spoke about how do you start your day, how to start your day. It starts with negotiating with your own standards. You know that, man, I'm a very high standard person, but now because of you are now drifting, you now negotiate with yourself to say, man, it's okay even if we lower a standard a bit. No one is going to see. No one is going to be able to recognize. No one is going to miss me. It's okay if we don't show up today. No one is going to miss me anyway. And from the outside, nothing looks broken. Everything still looks like it's intact. Everything still looks like it's working out. Everything still looks like you showing up, it still looks like it's functioning. But inside, internally, you are not operating at the level that that you know yourself, that you demand from yourself. You're not operating from that level. And that is how drifting looks like. And drifting doesn't come from failure. No, it doesn't come from failure. Drifting comes from disconnection. Once you get to be disconnected with your power, once you get to be disconnected with yourself, then drifting starts creeping in. Once you start disconnecting from your structure, once you start disconnecting from your standards, remember we did say that the standards whereby you say, anyway, who cares? Who's watching? They won't recognize it. I know how to rob this now. And disconnecting from your discipline, your spiritual grounding. And this happens exactly when structure fades. And guess what happens when structure fades? When structure fades, emotions take over. And when emotions lead, consistency breaks. And when consistency breaks, identity weakens. We no longer know who you are. You no longer are not sure of who you are. You are no longer sure of your capacity or your capability. Remember, you don't lose your life at first. No, you don't lose your life at first. Things happen bit by bit. And you lose your structure first before anything else. You lose your structure. And drifting, it has a cost on its own. I was talking to someone the other day and I was saying to them that, look, man, whatever choice you make, whether you choose to let go and rebuild your life or you choose to stay the same, the cost is almost the same. The only difference is that you already know the cost of staying the same, but you might not know the cost of the rebuild. But what I can tell you is that the cost of staying the same is that there are no benefits there. There are no benefits at all of staying the same. But the cost to rebuild your life, yes, it's going to be difficult. But the rewards that come later with rebuilding your life, they are marvelous because of you get to benefit. You don't get to regret not building your life. You get to benefit rebuilding your life. And the cost to drifting, it doesn't always come immediately. It comes progressively. It comes bit by bit. It comes as you go on. It doesn't say, hey, I am here and my name is Drift. We are now drifting. No. And I just want to list the 5 areas where drifting will cost you. Just 5 areas. Number 1 is decision fatigue. And decision fatigue looks like when you lose structure, everything becomes a decision again. What to do, it becomes a decision. When to do it, it becomes a negotiation also. How to do it, it also becomes a decision. Because remember, at first, when you still had your power and everything was all together, these things were not things that you had to think about. You know what I mean? You just did them because of it was a structure and you followed that structure. You followed it religiously and made sure that, you know what, this is how I show up, this is how to do things, and all of that. And all of a sudden, now you have to make decisions to say, do I have to do this? Do I have to know what to do? Or do I now get to choose? Do I now get to decide on what do I do? Because structure removes pressure. It removes pressure, and drift multiplies it. When your life is drifting, you're just multiplying pressure to yourself. And the second one is weak presence. You can feel it when, as a person, you can feel that, you know what, I'm not as present as I used to be. Your conversations are now weak. You know, you can feel it in conversations when you talk to people that, you know what, I'm no longer maybe passionate about how I'm talking to people. I'm just talking to people. This is just a meaningless conversation. And your weak presence, it also can be felt in rooms, in how you speak. Because now, as you're speaking, you're no longer speaking with conviction. You show up, but you don't show up grounded. You just show up just to get it over and done with. To say, no, I'm just here. Okay, let's get it over and done with. What's next? Let's move on. And the third one is flexible standards. What you once said never to tolerate, now you find yourself tolerating it. You've always said that, you know what, I have standards. This is how I show up. This is how I do things. I remember I remember when I was still drinking. There was a time, a period in my life where I only used to drink whiskey. No compromise. Only whiskey from the start to the finish till we go home. It's whiskey or cognac. And then as time went on, then I started to compromise. So I'm using that example just for you to see that sometimes compromise, it comes as if it's not compromise. Then I started to compromise to say, maybe let's jump to gin, because of now whiskey was now becoming unsustainable because of the price. And then from gin, then you downgrade again and say, it's okay, it's just alcohol at the end of the day. Let me just drink whatever cider. Right? And then you just say, you convince yourself to say, it doesn't matter. Nobody notices anyway. But you notice. You notice that your standards have dropped. You notice that, you know what, I used to read 3 books in a month, and now I barely finish one. And you ask yourself, what happened? To you, at some point, you think that you are making progress. Yes, you are making progress, but it is not at the same velocity that it used to be. And that is drifting your standards. You tolerating less of the high standards that you have put for yourself as a high valued person. And then number 4 is reactive living. This is when you stop leading your day and you start responding to everything in it. You stop setting your day. You stop now waking up and deciding how is your day going to look like. How are you going to, what type of a person are you going to be? Who are you going to be on that day? And you start responding to everything in it. Messages, work, you no longer lead. You just respond to people. Everything pulls you. Nothing is led by you. You're no longer leading. You are just being pulled. You are just being tossed from left to right, purely because of you no longer decide how is your day. You're no longer setting tone for your day. And the last one, number 5, is loss of internal respect. Ooh. That one is big. Loss of internal respect. This is the deepest one, the deep end one. You know, when you are not operating at your level, and when you know it, that man, you know what? I'm no longer operating at the level that I am normally operational or operating at. You feel it. You feel it quietly. You feel it daily. And that's where confidence erodes. It's because of we no longer respect ourselves. You no longer respect your decisions. You no longer respect your commitments. You tell yourself that no, everyone is doing it. I was telling my children just now I was just telling them stories about how we grew up and all of that, and to say to them, I once got into trouble at school because of I was in a wrong crowd. They were doing certain things that even as I was with them, I knew that these things were wrong, but I was with them. And even though I wasn't doing them, when shit hit the fan and they got into trouble, guess who's pulled with them? I did. And I got the worst punishment. You know what I mean? Because of the company that I kept. Because of this thing of saying, no, everybody does it. No, even if I don't do it, but let me just be in their company. You think when trouble comes, trouble is going to say, no, this one, let's exclude him. He doesn't do the things that they do. No. The company that you keep represents you. It represents you. And man, we've gone through the signs of how do you recognize that you're drifting as we conclude this month. But I just want to give you a framework of how do you bring yourself back, or of how do you reset your life, reset yourself, And now the question becomes, how do I return to who I have been? Or how do I return to the person that I know myself to be? And I developed a framework, as you know. I love frameworks because of they make things easy, and they make things to be understandable, and one is able to run to that framework and say, oh, you know what, I know that there's this framework that I'm going to use for me to be able to reset my life. And this is the framework that I normally use each and every time where I feel that, you know what, it seems like I'm losing the grip. It seems like I'm drifting. It seems like I'm drifting either from my relationship or from my work, or even from how I show up, or even from how I spend time with my children. And I've recently used this reset again, as I felt like I was drifting, or I am drifting, from my responsibilities. I'm drifting from my relationship with my wife because of what I have been going through. And I was like, no, man, you know what? Come on, let's reset. And the first alphabet there, obviously it's R. R is for return to non-negotiables. I have to find myself going back to those things, to those principles that I said, these are non-negotiables. These have to happen each and every day. And the question that I ask myself would then be, what were the things that kept me grounded, that were not negotiable? And for me, it's the first thing. First of all, my morning structure, my prayers, my reflections, my movement. How do I move first thing in the morning? Planning my day, deciding how do I show up for this day, deciding to say, man, I am not going to react from this day. I'm going to make the best of everything that comes my way. I'm going to solve all problems that I'm going to face on this day. And I then do this exercise. I start writing down 3 non-negotiables. And I would like you to do that also. Write down the 3 non-negotiables that you want to reintroduce and implement them immediately. Just 3. Just 3. To say, I'm going back to waking up at 4:30. I'm going to do whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going back to not looking at my phone first thing when I wake up. I'm going to just close my eyes and thank God, or just close my eyes and meditate. Or first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the mirror work. And just think of those 3 things that are non-negotiable. Write them down and reintroduce them to yourself immediately, with immediate effect. Non-negotiables, those are non-negotiables. And E, it's for eliminating passive habits. And eliminating passive habits looks like, when drift feeds on passive living. For example, mindless scrolling. I saw a video of this guy saying every time when their ex sees them and they see their pictures, they just troll. He doesn't say scroll, he says they just troll. I thought it was funny. And man, mindless scrolling takes away our attention and builds these these passive habits. Background noise. You now always want to find yourself where there is noise. You no longer value your quiet time. You no longer value where you are. You just find yourself with crowds that even sometimes talk about things that that, man, this thing that's been spoken about here doesn't work for me. It actually takes me back, because of you are now building these passive, I nearly said Pacific again. But because you are building these passive habits, you find yourself accepting anything, and that is everything. And remember, when you do something that is new, it feels exciting at first, until you sit down and you calculate the cost of it. And you see that, man, this is costing me actually. Unstructured evenings, where you have forgotten how you spend your evenings, where you have forgotten what you need to do in the evening, how you reflect before going to bed, how you maybe journal on your on the things that you are grateful for that happened on that day. things that you favors even that you got, that that you were not expecting them, how God moved for you on that day, how things worked out for you on that day. Now you forgot to write on your gratitude diary. You know, on Mondays, normally on Mondays, on the mentorship that I'm on, we have accountability calls on Monday. And our mentor is always, he always wants to know, have you been writing on your diary? You know, on your journal, have you been writing? Have you been putting entries? And how many days are you in? And we have to be accountable to say, no, I missed one day, I drifted because of whatever. And he's not interested in your excuses. Once you drift and you don't do it for one day, you start all over. Even if you are on day 200 doing it consistently, you start all over. Because it has to be a part of you. It has to move from being a habit to being a part of you. And by forgetting those things, you are literally putting holes into this very same thing that you're trying to build. And man, I want to say to you, cut one. You know, if you find yourself that you are always mindlessly scrolling, you know, you are always you always have background noise wherever you are, and even when you are alone, there must just be noise because of you don't want to listen to your thoughts. If you find yourself having unstructured evenings, cut one of those things today. Not tomorrow, today. Tell yourself that I'm going to scroll less. If I used to spend 2 hours scrolling, I'm going to try to limit it to 1 hour 30 minutes and see if you don't feel different. See if you won't have capacity to focus on other things. And S is for set daily directions. And this looks like this. Before your day begins, this is where you get a chance to set the tone for your day, to define the type of day that you want. And how do you define it, Thabo? By asking a very important, powerful question. What must happen today for this day to be a win for me? What must happen today for this day to be a powerful win for me? And for me, it would be something that looks like having a conversation with a prospective client. You know, reaching out to some of my clients, finding out on my clients how far are they, if they have any difficulties, reaching one client or signing up one client a day. So it will depend. Helping someone for free, finding that paying client, being able to make sure that I smile all day, I feel joy the whole day. That's what a win looks like to me. Being able to help God, help someone that didn't even ask for that help. Smile at someone that you don't know. Wave whilst you are on that traffic. People get frustrated on traffic. Just wave and smile. That's a win for me. Because that person, at least they will remember me that, oh, someone smiled today. Someone helped me to remember that I can also smile. Even though I'm going through things and I'm in this traffic jam that is forcing me to look at parts of my life. And that person gave me a smile. Prioritize one or two things, not more than that. One or two things, prioritize them. For me, the priority is to be the best at work, as I'm still currently doing my 9 to 5, to be the best at work, to see at least one client, even after work or before work, every day. Well, not every day, but twice a week or 3 times a week, sorry. Those are my priorities. To make sure that the family is okay, my wife is okay, my kids are okay. Those are my priorities. Everything else, I sometimes put it at the back, if I remember to do it. But for as long as those 3 things are taken care of, especially on my reset season, at the time where I'm saying, oh, let me reset, I think I am overdrawn now. And E is for execute without negotiations. And this is where you stop overthinking. You stop the emotional debate. You just execute. You just execute. Because why? Because discipline is doing what you have decided. Once you've decided to do something, go on and do it. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when you don't feel like it. Go on and do it. And you know what I've realized? What I've realized is that the things that we normally say, I don't feel like doing this. Can I just maybe not do it today and whatnot? By the time we do them, they become our best work ever. They become our best work ever. Like for example, every time where I feel like, oh, I wish this person, I can just postpone this appointment with this person. Oh, do I have to get on a call with this person and whatnot? Do I have to attend this class, this mentorship? Do I have to go there and do whatever and blah 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 blah? And I find that on that day, say for example, the classes that I attended in the evening, I find that on that day, my mentor speaks about something that I have been having a challenge with. And it becomes such a beautiful time because I'm getting solutions that I didn't even think about. It's like on Tuesday, right? I've been stuck for a long time on the book that I'm writing. I've been stuck for a long time, not knowing how do I move on, not knowing how do I put in the last 3 chapters that I have to put in on the book. And on on Monday evening, the topic was about book writing because he just finished writing another book. And I'm like, wow. And mind you, I didn't want to attend that class. I wanted to come with excuses to say, oh, I had a rough day at work. This, whatever that's happening in the world, how it's affecting people and all of that. And we are busy at work because of it and all of that. And I was like, no, man, I'm not going to attend this class. I'm just going to eat and then go to sleep. And I even said that to my wife that, you know what, I'm just going to eat and then sleep. I'm too tired. And then just before I even ate, I was checking my emails. And I'm like, no, man, let me just attend. And then I tell my wife that, babe, I'm attending this class. And she's like, oh, didn't you say that you're not attending and whatnot? And I'm like, no, I'm attending. And she's like, okay, I'm going to come sit with you. And I attended the class. And it was exactly what I am looking for. And just after attending that class, I had my whatever that was blocked, whatever that was blocking me from moving forward was removed altogether. And I moved forward. And I'm happy to tell you that the 3 chapters that I was left with, they are all done. I finished them yesterday. Now I've submitted my book to be edited. And in no time, I will be publishing it. Just execute, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it. Be disciplined. Do exactly what you've decided to do and finish it. At whatever cost, finish it. And the last one is T. T is for Tabo. Not this time. So T is for track your standards. And end your day with these questions. Did I lead today? Whether you're leading your life or you leading a team or you leading your thoughts, ask that question. Did I lead today? Did I drift today? That's the second question that you have to ask yourself. And no judgment, just awareness. Just be aware. Because if you judge yourself, then you are going to take yourself back. You know what I mean? Just ask those questions for awareness. And I want you to use this as a self-audit. You know, just before the month ends, I want you to do something most people avoid. And that is being honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself these questions. It's not a lot of questions. It's just 5 questions. And believe you me, these questions, they will change your life. They might look like they are not as powerful as maybe you might think that you need something powerful or you need powerful questions to change your life. But I can tell you now, they will change your life in a powerful way once you are honest with them. Ask yourself, where did I lead this month? Where did I lead this month? Question number 2 is, where did I drift? Where did I drift? And pause this video, right, whilst you're going through these questions, and be honest with yourself. Write the answers down. What did I say I would do, but I didn't? What did I say I would do, but I didn't? For me is, again, finishing my webinar. You know, I've been postponing and postponing, and I need to finish it. And another month has gone by without me finishing it. But I need to submit it because I have to submit it by the second week of April. 4 is, what did I tolerate that I shouldn't have? I tolerated procrastination. I tolerated excuses. I tolerated my moods to dictate how I show up. Where did I operate below my standards? Where did I operate below my standards? And just tell the truth. Just write your truth. Be honest without judgment so that you are aware, you know, and don't offer excuses. Don't offer yourself excuses. Don't offer yourself excuses to get out of it. No. Don't tell yourself stories. Don't come up with a story to say, no, this is why what. No, 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 no. Just be honest about it. Look, man, you still have time. You still have time. And you don't have to fix everything. But you do need to finish strong. You do need to finish strong. One decision at a time, one action at a time, one correction at a time. Remember, momentum doesn't come from months of doing one big thing. No, momentum comes from doing one thing at a time. And it comes from decisions. This month was about reclaiming your power. The following month, the next month, it's going to be about executing and consistency. Executing and consistency. Because after reclaiming your power, you need to know what to do with that power. You know, no thinking about it, no talking about it, but living it daily. Being consistent each and every day. And you are not a failure. Remember, you are not a failure. You didn't fail this month. The only thing is that you allowed yourself to drift. You drifted. And you know it. But I have the good news for you. Discipline is quiet. But it is always available. It's quiet, but it's always available. And you can return to your discipline immediately. Immediately. No planning, no excuses, no running, no saying anything. You can return to it. So the question now that you have to ask yourself is, who am I choosing to be next? Who am I choosing to be next? Stop asking that question of saying, what happened this month? And looking at it from a blame point of view or a judgment point of view. No, don't ask that question. The question is, who am I choosing to be next? And that's the question that I want to leave you with. Who are you choosing to be next? Think about it. Write it down. Think about it. Contemplate about it. Meditate about it. And write down the first things that come to your mind. Man, thank you so much for joining us today again. We appreciate your support. If this video touched you in any way, please subscribe, like this video, and subscribe to our channel. And man, share it with other people. Share it with other people. You can also comment the word reset on there. Remember, we do have a free gift for you. Just go to www.rebuildwiththabo.com and you will find that free gift for you. It's a simple six steps that we developed for everyone that is trying to rebuild their lives. This is not only about divorce. Yes, those 6 steps were designed for me. I designed them for me to get out of my divorce, or to get over my divorce, to rebuild my life from that divorce. But anything that you are going through, you can use those 6 steps. Every loss, every discouraging situation that you're going through, you can use those 6 steps. Anyway, thank you for spending time with us. Let's see you on our next video.